Hi and welcome back to my videos here at Wonder. Today I'm going to teach you how to paint this lovely tropical flamingo piece. I'm going to put a picture in the comments so you can see how I've drawn the outline. I've just quickly sketched it whilst I was off video because I can't think when I'm being recorded when I'm sketching. So I've done the quick sketch and I'm going to show you how to paint it. This painting I'm actually going to turn into a colour by numbers, so if you're actually interested in finding more out about colour by numbers, then please do message me. So here we go. So here's the sketch that I've done to start, and I'm going to begin now by applying my paints. I've got some watercolours here. You can pick up these watercolours just from the works. They're £3 and it comes with a paintbrush, which is really handy. Okay, so using the skills that I've taught you before, we're going to start by applying the colours. Just really simple piece this is going to be, nothing too complex, but something that hopefully you love. Trying to keep my colours quite block and neutral, because actually this piece is, like I say, I'm going to turn it into a colour by number, so it's got to be something that's really accessible for beginners. A really nice green, which they're calling hooker's green in the palette. There's also a ultramarine and a leaf green in this palette, so you get a really nice range of colours for £3. And the quality of the paints are actually quite good. The pigments I'm quite impressed with actually, because I've bought some cheaper paints in the past and not being too impressed, but these are absolutely fabulous. As you can see, got a really nice pigment. I'm not having to apply my paint too much. It's spreading really nicely. I think I forgot to mention what I've actually drawn on is a canvas sheet, and I found these canvas sheets, would you believe it or not, in B&M, and they were only £1.50 for the pack. So yes, of course, me being me, I stocked up, but they still sell them. I really suggest that you also grab a few packs because they're just brilliant. It's basically a canvas on a sheet, you can't really go wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna apply my other shade of green, I think, here. I'm already starting to mess up the palette, which is just typical of me. I can never keep my palettes too clean. I'm just applying the base colour. Gone for a different shade of green for this palm. And you can always build up with your colour, so I'm just trying to get the base down just so I can see where I want to go with this. So I'm happy with those two greens for now. Okay, then I'm going to start by adding, I think I'm going to put my green into my lily pads here that I've drawn here as well, just so I don't have to come back to those. And this one, I'm going to give it a bit of a different tone. I'm going to use a bit of brown next for some of my pond life. Oh, smudged a bit. Accidents will happen. Don't worry about that. Look, add a bit of brown into the tone there. Better. Add some tone into my lily pad. Just going to swap my brush to a smaller one. Okay, so I'm going to layer up some of my colours now. Adding some darker tones towards the ends to give it some depth. Remember to let as always, let the watercolour do its job and carry itself. You don't want to overwork it. Okay. Quite happy with that. Okay, I think I'm going to move on now, adding the brown into my palm tree. So I'm going to do alternative sections. So this bit's going to be brown. And then in between I'm going to go for, I think, a touch of black. Grey, blacky brown, basically. that back into the grass so it looks natural, and then I'm going to add in between the things, the tree here, some more black. Okay, and yeah, I think that's looking really cute. It's got a lot of, for a base, and obviously this is just the base. I'm happy with that. It's really coming on. I'm going to add a few more textures and points. It's looking really coming on how I expected. I'm really enjoying doing it as well, which is the main thing. Something different. Don't normally do a lot of animals, but nice. Okay, so I'm going to begin now. Just adding a bit, washing my brush off into. I'm going to begin maybe with the flamingo. Looking very graceful in my water here. So I'm going to start with, as I say, the flamingo, and of course I want it to be a crimson, a bright pink. So I've got this pinky colour here, and I'm going to begin by applying it. Oh, perfect. I'm going to start by so in some areas I want the colour to be quite heavily pigmented, like there, and maybe around the neck here. So I'll apply that colour quite strong. That means really rubbing into the palette a little bit. I'm just going to put it where I wish. Decided to use this palette as well, just to show you that I'm using the exact colours that come in the Works palette, so it's very achievable for you to use the exact same colours and to achieve the exact same effects. So no cheating going on here. I know sometimes you watch videos and see, but really, is that achievable with my resources? So of course the answer here is yes. I'm just going to add a bit of white to blend that base of the pink now. That's really lovely coming on. Just add a few tones in there. Palette's getting so messy because that's just me, but I'm just going to add some water to let my watercolour do the beauty of its job. Okay. And I'll just let that sit. And just let that glue back down. Just gonna give it a bit more move around here. Okay. And lovely. Okay, so that's why flamingo painted, or the base colour anyway. And then I'm going to go in with some down the face, just bring that pink down a little bit, and then I'm going to end with my lotus flowers. Okay, so I think for those I'm going to go in with, I want them to be like a purple, but of course in this palette we haven't got purple, so I'm going to do some pink Then I'm going to add some blue tones. So I'm going to paint the whole background pink, and then with the blue I'll add the detail. Okay, so I'm just going to let that sit before I add the more blue colours that I'm going to add for detail, and then add the base colour finally to the water. Now I've got two blues, one's Prussian blue and one's called ultramarine. So as I keep stressing, this is just the first half of the video, so we're just getting our base coat down, and I'm going to show you how to use the watercolours to add some lovely detail. Okay. So in some sections of my river, I'm going to use Prussian blue, and then ultramarine I'm going to apply to some other sections just to give it a bit of okay. Going to go in with the Prussian blue, sorry, here as well. Oh, it's really made everything pop a little bit, hasn't it? That looks lovely already, so I'm really excited to seeing the finished product of this piece. Now I'm using watercolour, so I know it washes off quite well, so I'm not too fussed about my table, but if you are using something that's quite valuable, make sure you use some newspaper. Watercolour is really good because it doesn't stain or ruin any clothes. Of course, I've ruined quite a selection of my clothes by using acrylic in the past, but the lovely thing about watercolour is that you don't need to worry about that. Okay, and then just going in with my made a bit of a mistake there on the tree, so I'm just going to wash it out a little bit with some water, so it can be easily rectified, which is another great thing about watercolour. Okay. Just being a little bit more careful than I have been going around Mr. or Mrs. Let's say it's a Mrs. Flamingo. Fiona the Flamingo, we'll call her, head. I'm just going to blend in some of that. Okay, and just going over her legs because we're going to bring those back in video 2. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then in the in-betweens where I haven't applied the Prussian blue, this is of course where ultramarine is going from. Ultramarine, okay, so there we are. So I'm just going to finish ultramarine, and then once that's done, I'm going to let that dry, and then I look forward to teaching you how to add detail into this gorgeous flamingo watercolour. Okay, so there we are. This is what we want to be doing for part 1 of our watercolour. Okay, thank you.